Get Smart, quite possibly the greatest addition to the spy parody genre, premiered September 18, 1965 on NBC. Mel Brooks and Buck Henry were the masterminds behind this hilarious series that pitted Don Adams as Agent Maxwell Smart, Barbara Feldon as Agent 99, and Edward Platt as Thaddeus The Chief, members of secret U.S. government counterintelligence agency known as CONTROL, against KAOS, the nefarious international organization of evil. The show capitalized on the popularity of secret agent man franchises like James Bond and Inspector Clouseau. Brooks described the series as an insane combination of James Bond and Brooks's signature brand of farcical comedy. During its 5-season run, Get Smart coined a number of popular catchphrases, including "Would you believe?", "Missed it by that much?" and "I asked you not to tell me that." To celebrate the series' 55th anniversary, let's delve into some of its little-known behind-the-scenes facts. Daniel Melnick deserves a production credit. Daniel is probably best known for producing films like All That Jazz, Altered States, and Straw Dogs. His films won more than 20 Academy Awards and were nominated over 80 times. You won't find Melnick's name in the Get Smart credit reel, but he definitely deserves a mention. He was the one who brought Mel Brooks and Buck Henry together in the first place to work on a spy parody series. He pitched the idea to the two Hollywood heavyweights as a combination of two of the biggest things that were taking the world of entertainment by storm at the time, namely James Bond and Inspector Clouseau. Fang got fired. Any spy show worth its salt isn't really complete without a canine crime-fighting companion, right? The control dog was played by a little fella by the name of Red, and turns out he had a pretty decent run in Hollywood. Before landing the Get Smart role, he played Casper in the Alfred Hitchcock Presents episode Craig's Will. Agent K-13, as he was known on the series, made his first appearance in the pilot when KAOS makes its first sinister move by stealing the Inflato-Coat. Sadly, Little Red was written off the series after just 2 seasons. Even though fans loved him, the cast and crew struggled to work with an animal actor, and it became too costly to manage and train him. Max Smart's commercials. Don Adams used his iconic "Would you believe?" line in a whole slew of commercials to promote Midwestern fast food chain White Castle's fish and fries meal deal for the unbelievable price of just 99 cents. He also lent his likeness to a 1971 Hertz Rent-A-Car commercial, where he once again used the "Would you believe?" line to convince Cinderella, played by Laverne and Shirley's Penny Marshall, to not work for her evil stepsisters. At the end of the ad, Cinderella is teleported into a Hertz uniform, and there's a tagline that pops up on screen about every customer being treated like a prince. Cheesy? Yes, but a gig's a gig, right? Quick side note, if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure you give it a like and subscribe to our channel. And keep watching, we have a whole bunch of Get Smart trivia gold lined up for you. All those classic sports cars. There's really no denying the fact that sports cars in the 60s had a certain edge to them that put them in a league of their own. For the first season or two of the series, Max drove a Ferrari 250 GT PF Spider Cabriolet. Most folks would give a limb for a chance to have one of these bad boys in their garage. And of course, he also sported a classic red Sunbeam convertible, another breathtakingly gorgeous piece of machinery. Volkswagen was one of the primary sponsors of the show's 3rd season, so Max got the opportunity to cruise around in a blue Karmann Ghia. He switched up vehicles once again for season 4, when he traded his keys in for a yellow Citroen and a blue Ford Shelby Mustang GT 500. Buick sponsored season 5, which meant Max got the chance to hop behind the wheel of a gold Opel GT. Johnny Carson was close friends with Don Adams. Carson made 2 appearances on the show. The first time he guest starred on the series was in the episode Aboard the Orient Express. Johnny played a somewhat overzealous train conductor whose fanatical passion lands him in some hot water. His second appearance was in the episode The King Lives, where he plays a king's herald who introduces a princess after an excruciatingly protracted synopsis of the family's royal bloodline. In a 1968 interview when Adams was a guest on The Tonight Show, he detailed a time that he was flying in coach after spending some time in Europe. A couple minutes before liftoff, Adams swapped out his ticket for a first-class seat after Johnny Carson handed him a humorous, handwritten note beckoning him to join him. The two spent the rest of that flight shooting the breeze and quizzically teasing each other back and forth. Guest stars galore. Reading out a list of all the celebs who guest starred on Get Smart is like looking at a who's who of Hollywood in the 60s. 138 episodes gave plenty of opportunities to host some incredible star guests. For the very first episode, Michael Dunn played Mr. Big Striker, and in the Dead Spy Scrolls, Leonard Nimoy, aka Spock, makes a surprise visit. Other notable stars that found their way to the Get Smart set included James Caan, Bob Hope, Don Rickles, Regis Philbin, and Phyllis Diller. The gadgets that James Bond would have envied. Or not. I mean, who wouldn't want a shoe phone? It gave a whole new meaning to the phrase walk and talk. Then there was the cone of silence, a double-domed device intended to facilitate private conversations between two agents, but instead made it so they can't hear each other in the slightest, while listeners outside of the bubble could hear them with crystal clarity. Mel Brooks had one rule when coming up with gadgets and gizmos: do what James Bond would have done, but stretch it by half an inch. Phones were built into every conceivable object, from pencils, bowls of fruit, garden hoses, or even a cheese sandwich. There was even a time a cup of coffee and a donut had dual functionality as a radio. Executive producer Leonard Stern noted some of the gadgets were so close to reality it was absolutely unnerving to the FBI. Although we seriously doubt any real-life governmental agents are communicating via soccer cleats or sugar-glazed confectionery treats. Andy Warhol and TV Guide. TV Guide enlisted the talents of world-famous pop artist Andy Warhol to design the cover of their March 5, 1966 issue. Warhol used his iconic color-blocking print technique on photos of Barbara Feldon that were captured by famed fashion photographer Roger Pridgent for the magazine's cover and some of its interior fashion showcases. What was Agent 99's name? Barbara Feldon was sort of like the voice of reason to balance out Don Adams' over-the-top antics. Her real name, however, proved to be one of the show's biggest mysteries. Brooks and Buck certainly liked to keep us all on our toes. Her real name was hinted at and teased many times throughout the run, but the writers refused to ever give a solid answer, even after she and Max got married in Season 4. Don and Barbara didn't care for each other in real life. Barbara Feldon admitted she and Don never really talked to each other in the early days of filming. They would simply arrive on set, deliver their lines, and go home. It would be a number of years before they would develop something more akin to a working relationship. Agent 99 started off as something more like a supporting character, but as the show progressed, she took on a more prominent role. As her character developed, so did her and Don Adams' on-screen chemistry. But even so, it wouldn't be until the show was nearing its end they started to consider each other friends. F Troop's Spoof. Another popular 60s series that poked fun at the spy genre was F Troop, starring Forrest Tucker and Ken Berry. In one episode entitled Spy, Counter-Spy, Counter-Counter-Spy, the writers introduced a character named B. Wise, portrayed by Pat Harrington Jr., who was very clearly a spoof of Don Adams' Max Smart. Get Smart comic books. Dell Comics published an 8-issue series based on the show. The comics were published between 1966 and 67 and were co-written by Steve Ditko, famed co-creator and artist of the Spider-Man and Doctor Strange comics. William Johnston's 9 Get Smart novels. Johnston had a knack for writing novels based upon popular TV series. In addition to penning 9 tie-in Get Smart novels, he also wrote books based upon series like The Brady Bunch, Bewitched, The Flying Nun, and The Munsters. First TV franchise to air on 4 major networks. So the original series ran on NBC. After being canceled in 1969, the last season was aired on CBS. ABC had referred to the first series as un-American when they read the pilot script, but then they ended up airing the made-for-TV movie Smart Again in 1989. When the series was rebooted in 1995, it was broadcast by Fox. Speaking of the 95 reboot, the original series wrapped up May 15, 1970. 25 years later, Max Smart and Agent 99 joined forces once again for the Fox revival series. Seeing as more than 2 decades had passed, things had changed quite a bit. Max Smart since became chief of control, and Andy Dick plays his bungling son Zach. Dick was honestly a terrible choice as the lead for a series, and little of the magic that made the original series so special is retained in this awful sequel series. The show only aired for 7 episodes and was canceled a month after premiering. That's all the Get Smart facts we have for you today. If you can think of any we forgot, give us a call on our shoe phone and let us know. Which incarnation of Get Smart do you enjoy the most? The original 1965 TV series or Steve Carell's remake film? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, show us some support by hitting the like button and subscribing to our channel if you haven't already. Tap the bell icon to turn on notifications to keep up with all our latest videos.